Is that our lead in music? Good. I need more volume in the inner ear. I can't hear it. Going on, going down. Yeah, I can hear it now. I'm better now. Okay. Little atomic dog. Parliament Funkadelic.
Oh, yeah.
I had this on vinyl at one point. I inherited it from my aunt. I should look around and see if I have that still. It's got to be somewhere.
It is a good one.
Yep. I was listening to some 70s soul music on Spotify last night.
Okay,
and I
so
think,
what kind of stuff was 70s soul?
Oh, there was like some Bill Withers stuff going on, Stevie Wonder. There's an Aaron Neville song that I was listening to that went up on my Rufus Jefferson page. There was some stuff from Stax Records that I was listening to on there. It's a blend, you know. Mm-hmm. It's like automatically programmed. So somebody's reacting to some video. I guess there it is.
Yeah.
Look, I found my show. Holy smokes!
By your own? On
my own. Woo!
44 days in, and he found the show on his own. Excellent.
So today, as people are starting to notice, is the Fancy Funky Friday. It's also Weed Whack in the Rain Day here on Nohano.
In the Nohano?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you will see I put on a tie. I have a collared shirt. I have a tie. Look, I even have a handkerchief. You see that?
Yes, we call that a pocket square.
Pocket square?
Yes.
I got my pocket square. You know what that is? That's my camo face mask. I just folded it up.
Well, it matches your hat, so it's very nice.
It matches my hat, and I also have my fish
pin.
My fish
I like
pin.
That fish pin. Yeah.
So what? And then later on, once we get to the history lesson of the day, we're going to talk about the history of the sport coat.
Men's fashion.
I'm fancy today,
and I'm funky.
What do you got going on?
I'm funky. I got my fro. I'm funky. I got my glasses.
That fro actually looks like it's your hair.
That's what my sister said. I just sent her a picture. She's like, it really looks like your hair. Yeah.
Is Kev gonna put a picture of that up?
Yeah,
of your mom? Are
yeah.
You gonna tell that story.
In honor of Mother's Day, which is this Sunday, folks.
By the way, I can't hear Amy.
You can't hear me? Why? What? Oh, okay. The picture. You're going to have to translate.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mother's Day.
Can you put the picture up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mother's Day is on Sunday. So in honor of my mom, happy Mother's Day. My mom had the most epic fro in the 70s. So there's a picture of it on the screen right there. There's us on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. We were visiting my grandmother. We used to do every year. So mom's rocking the glasses and the fro. There she is. Hi, Mom. Good morning.
She gonna be impressed with that?
Yeah. She was a hot ticket.
There's that
She's still a hot ticket.
There's that one picture that you post on Facebook from time to time, and I guess it's you guys in like Italy or something.
Yeah, we're in St. Mark's Square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her fro is banging.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best afros I've ever seen on a white lady.
It was
probably
perfect.
The best afro I've ever seen on a white lady.
Wow, there you go, Mom. The best afro. So she used to pick it like so perfectly.
Yeah.
And when she would go out, like we would have to help her pick it in the back because she couldn't see the back. So we would help her make it perfectly round. The thing was epic. It was great. Susie Kennedy is watching. She had a little bit of a fro going too.
Yeah.
She sent us a picture. So happy Mother's Day early to my mom, to my mother-in-law, Gail Wolf, to all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day.
Audra the Hammer Ross.
Hey, Audra. Is she here?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have some stuff for Audra.
Yeah, we do.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Lisa Vanny, Trinita Lindsay. I had a conversation with Trinita via Facebook Messenger, and I'm going to share some of the details of that conversation since Trinita has agreed to be our political liaison for the show. Deborah Snyder, yeah, Kev can't hear Amy because Kev's monitoring a different channel. And
the Weed Whacker's like 2 feet away from me.
literally like, yeah, it's not 2 feet, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, but that should be. It's a pretty small yard next door, so that should hopefully die down very soon.
Yeah. So that's what Kev's referring to. I can hear Amy fine in my headphones, and I know that that's what's going across on our broadcast.
Yeah.
Katie Clark.
Pinko. She had to fill the holes on her answer. Yeah, that was it. And my mom would be like, where do I need to pick it out? Make it perfectly round.
My dad still does that, man. My dad's been picking in his fro for, I don't know,
for years.
50, 60 years, yeah. Ray Amori is watching. Shiloh wants to know what happened to her hair. Once you go black, you can never go back. Now she's got an afro. Just tell Shiloh that.
I can hardly see anything. These sunglasses are prescription, but it makes it very dark. But it completes the look for Funky Friday.
Yes, Funky and Fancy Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Amori is watching. I noticed Ray's got another badge. He leveled up.
What?
He's now a conversation starter.
Ooh.
He went from Top Fan +1.
Right.
Then he went to Sharer, I think.
Yes.
And then after Sharer is now conversation starter.
Yes. Does it have? It has like the little cup of coffee icon next to it. Yeah.
Yes. Congratulations, Ray. Joe Rusevich is saying Happy Mother's Day. Everybody will.
Oh, my mother-in-law just tuned in. I just wish you Happy Mother's Day. See you Sunday.
Nicole
Socially distanced.
Vickers Matz is tuning in. She posted up a pretty funny meme, which I, of course, made a snarky comment under, which is now getting a lot of traction on Facebook. Snark is my middle name.
Yes, I showed Matt a book that I have, the Snark Bible. My friend Stacy got me this book.
I'm going to have to borrow that.
Snark. It's full of all sorts of snarky quotes.
And what was interesting was you opened it up right to the page and went to H.L. Mencken, and I am a fan of H.L. Mencken.
Yeah, so I read this quote. Let me just read it real quick. The men the American people admire most extravagantly are the most daring liars. The men they detest most violently are those that try to tell the truth. And so then Matt said, oh, I have a really good quote I'd like from H.L. Mencken. And I said, well, that's who said that. So he knows his political snark, folks.
That's our quote for the day, though.
That is your quote for the day.
From H.L.
Like, we
Mencken.
have a treasure trove. We can do this for more than another 30 days if we refer to the Snark Bible. So
Tara
thank you to Stacey
Safeli is back on the show. I hope she didn't lose her top fan badge. Laura Mabry is watching. Nicole, everybody's saying that look really works for you.
Right.
I think you should just... I like it, too.
Yeah. All right. Well, who knows? I'll go down to the... once the Dollar Beauty opens back up on High Street, they've got all sorts of wigs. I can go down there.
Thanks, Nicole, for the compliment. I am the fancy today, and Amy's funky.
It is the first time I've ever seen you in a tie.
That's probably true. Mm-hmm. Although I do wear one from time to time. It's usually like funerals and stuff like that. So if I'm wearing a tie, but I have on other occasion worn them. Sometimes revolved around work, or if I'm going to some type of fancy party or a wedding. I wore one to the Spat and Slipper. I got invited to attend the Spat and Slipper. I wore a tie to that. That's a funny story. We'll have to talk about me going stag to the Spat. They did. They have to now.
Yep.
The rules changed on that.
That's one of my biggest beef is why I don't like to go to that anymore.
Right. But
because it was just exceedingly white.
Yes. Well, let's talk about it another day.
Okay.
Because Friday we're supposed to be keeping it light. We're supposed to be keeping it light.
We're supposed to be keeping it light.
Everything that I have for the show is relatively on the lighter side.
Okay.
There was some stuff that I saw in the political world that is driving me nuts, and we'll talk about it off air.
Right.
But for Friday, I'm going to keep my promise.
All right. Well,
what do you have? Do you have something to chew into?
Your mom says, Matt doesn't often dress fancy. Amy has more class. Well, thank you, Mrs. Green. I don't know about that.
Did she just say that about her own son?
Her own son.
She's right, though.
Yes. So is Audra still here? Audra, are you still watching?
Audra the Hammer.
Yes.
I like the fact that her name is the Hammer, and she's going to do a human blockhead routine.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
So this was in the paper today, in the Fit Friday section. pets provide peace and solace during the pandemic. And so I'm looking at these pictures and I was like, hey, that little girl looks familiar to me. It's Minnie Hammer.
There's
Minnie Hammer right there.
Minnie Hammer.
Minnie Hammer, Fiona, with their pet Butterscratch.
Maybe Fiona could be Audra's helper during
She's,
a human blockhead routine.
Audra posts a lot of funny stories about her kids. They're very quirky and funny, always saying funny things. So I enjoy those stories.
And
Audra.
you have something else.
And Kevin Krause came through for us with some mini swords. Can you see it? The mini sword. Do I need to have a white background for you to see?
I can't. Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, put it up.
There is the mini sword for the blockhead routine.
We're going to make this
That's
happen.
a big one, too.
We're going to make this happen.
But apparently not until after June 5th, so...
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer. But, I mean, we'll see. You know, I
can't say that I was surprised.
I'm
but
not.
for some reason, it punched me in the gut. Still the same.
Did it?
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised at all.
No, I wasn't surprised at all, but it still just kind of hit me. Yeah.
Hey, in case you haven't heard from our Mosaic Garden manager this week, that would be Dan Price. Mm-hmm. The community gardens will be opening. We will be having people in by 30-minute window appointments.
Okay, great.
May 13th at 615 Chestnut Street. Mm-hmm. May 14th at 423 Chestnut Street. May 15th, Barth Garden.
Great, so people can get a plot, and then they can make an appointment to go over and work their plot in a time that's safe, that there's not other people around. That's
right.
Great, thank you.
And then if you go to the COVID resources, I do have a link there for Mosaic Community Gardens so that you can go right from Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate to Mosaic Community Gardens. I signed up for a garden plot this year with Chris Golden, who's been itching to grow some stuff. So I sent Dan an email, and I guess I'll have to get in touch with him to see what's going on. And now I know the address to 615 Chestnut Street. That's
615 Chestnut Street.
Yes, right. The number.
Right.
Now, that's the one where I think we would do a good show because they have the patio, the arbor.
Right. Is that the one next to the building that's got the big mural?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful space.
It's awesome space in there. I did interview Dan in there for an episode of In the Works, and then his interview never got used. It never got incorporated into the episode. So
well, maybe when we go over, we can feed some bits in.
Well,
now that we have a technical whiz, we can.
Well, we can have him there. Dan will sit down with us. Mm-hmm. How can I get the swords? We are going to.
Yeah,
we'll figure
message
it out.
me, Audra. We'll make an arrangement.
We'll make arrangements so that you can practice.
I took this one out of the container, but Kevin brought me these. Kevin Krause brought me these from the Elks, and they've been in this baggie all week. So. Yeah.
Debbie Buckley did contact me via email, and Debbie, I did not forget about you. I will respond with some links and some information so that you can continue your work, trying to work on some research lab. I had a question too, and there's a lot of this. I've seen it on Facebook. I just haven't had the time to verify it. There's somebody that's going to be doing some free COVID-19 testing in the borough. Did you see about that?
Yeah, I can hold on.
Is that legit?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Let me just find it in the paper. Can I send a shout out, a special personal shout out?
You can do whatever you want. It's your
All
show.
right. Gail's aunt Charlotte passed away yesterday. She was lovely. I loved her from the moment that I met her. It was Levi's grandmother's sister. And I met her. I complimented her on her ring, and she took it right off of her hand and gave it to me. And that's this ring. So
wow. I'm
wearing this ring today in honor and memory of Levi's Aunt Charlotte.
All right. And it's funky, too.
It is funky. It's one of my favorites. She was one of my favorite people. Loved her. Okay. Let me see if I can get that info on the testing. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves.
There's more porta potty jokes going on between Joe Rusevich and Chris Golden. Brett Rio Grande is watching.
All right, hold on. Sorry.
Sorry. Well, maybe in the meantime, while you're doing that, I'll talk about something that I was handed today, and it was a postcard. My dad gave it to me because it had real estate on it, and he thought it was for me, but it was really for him. And what it is that somebody sending out postcards to homeowners in the area looking if you're interested in making a quick cash deal on your home. So those postcards are going around. You might also get text messages, phone calls. I
get all of those all the time.
Yeah, you'll see those bandit signs, they're called.
Okay.
And they'll pin them up to the telephone poles, or when you're pulling out of Giant. We'll buy any home, cash for any home, right? Okay, so just be careful with those, right? If you are interested in selling your house, my suggestion is you call a local real estate agent, someone who specializes in the neighborhood that your house is in.
Yes, somebody who's familiar with the market.
Familiar with the market in your area, and gives you an actual comparative market analysis of your property. Now, I know a guy that's really good at local Pottstown real estate. Sells a lot of houses.
Would you give us his name?
He sold 35 homes in and around the Pottstown area last year. His name's Matt Green. He does a good job.
Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate?
Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate.
Excellent.
Give him a call before you pick up the phone or call a bandit sign.
Yeah, call one of those shysters sending you a postcard.
And I'm not saying they're all bad, because I work with some real estate investors who do very similar things.
Right.
But I will say this. The real estate investors that I work with, for instance, Fine Solutions Properties, Paul and Rob Bickelman, they do a good job.
Right.
They pay a fair price. And after they buy your house, they fix it up.
They fix it up. Nice. They fix it up nice.
Nice. There are some times I've walked into people's houses and heard what prices they were offered by some of these people. And it's insulting. Your house is most definitely worth more than what you're being told it is.
Right.
Call a professional. Call a professional that specializes in your neighborhood to get a quote for what that house is. I'll tell you, I was involved in a sale over on York Street where we literally got the people close to $20,000 more for their home than what they were being offered by the investor from the postcard, from the bandit sign.
Right.
$20,000 more. So, that's what I'm saying. Be careful.
That's not $1,500.
No. So be careful.
Yeah.
They're coming around. Call.
All right, here's the information. Velva just shared some of it. Second Baptist Church, 10 to 4. So this is free COVID-19 testing offered in Pottstown on Saturday. Free testing for the COVID-19 virus will be conducted Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for those who pre-register. Don't just show up, folks. You have to pre-register. Testing will take place in the parking lot of Second Baptist Church, 507 North Adams Street, Pottstown. Pre-registration, realconciergemedicine.com. realconciergemedicine.com. Those who plan to attend should not eat or drink anything for 20 minutes prior to arriving. Please wear a mask or scarf. Testing provided by Dr. Ala Stanford and the team at the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium is for those who have been in contact with someone who has tested positive or someone suspected to be positive within the last 14 days. It is also for anyone who has had the following symptoms: coughing, sneezing, sore throat, shortness of breath, fever, loss of smell, loss of taste, diarrhea, or weakness. Let's see. According to the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium website, African Americans are being diagnosed at a disproportionately higher rate than other groups and are dying from the coronavirus at a higher rate than other groups. So in order to address that need, the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium was born. We have built a mobile COVID-19 testing operation. So that article is from the Mercury today. And I've seen it posted and shared a lot on Pottstown. So if you think that you meet those criteria, you've been in contact with somebody that has tested positive, or you are exhibiting symptoms, please pre-register to go get tested. Do not just show up. Pre-register for that testing on Saturday from 10 to 4.
And there's a website there?
Yes, it was, once again, realconciergemedicine.com.
All right, so what I'm going to do as soon as the show's over, I'll put a link to that on the COVID-19 resources page, or post, which is at the top of the Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate page. I will put that up so that people can click on that website and get some help with testing.
Yes.
Yeah, Ray, there is a list of the counties that are opening and the ones that are shut down. Now, keep in mind, folks, it's not a full opening. It's not like we're on green light and everybody can just rush back in. Those counties are on this yellow level.
Yeah, this kind of
I have
mid-phase.
posted that up on Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate page. You can scroll back through there and see what the 3 phases are. So, make sure you read that. I know that Penn Live, I didn't have a chance to read the article, but Penn Live, PA homepage, has an article about what that means.
Mm-hmm. About what yellow means.
What yellow means,
Right.
what counties are open, what counties aren't. It's
Right.
24 counties that are moving to the
to
yellow.
Right.
They're mostly the northern tier counties.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there's a map.
Yes.
There's an article.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a list. So go to PA Live or PA homepage, and it spells it all right there.
Yeah, and that the news article with Governor Wolf's information was shared all over the place yesterday.
Yeah.
Also, yes.
Yeah, Matt Green, you can listen to somebody who wears a camo hat. I'm gonna listen.
Is Matt dressed up because he's announcing his run for mayor?
No.
No.
I'm dressed up because it's Fancy Friday, and I took on responsibility for being fancy. So that's why I'm dressed up. But I'm also going to tell you that my history lesson today is going to explain why wearing a camo hat with a sport jacket kind of does make sense.
Okay,
from a
I can't
historical
wait.
perspective.
I can't wait because I was, as my dad likes to say, I was in men's clothing for 12 years.
You were.
I was in the men's clothing industry for 12 years.
Some people don't know who Matt Green is, but they might know who Rufus Jefferson is. S.O.B. Bacon? Nah, I'm not running for mayor.
Nope.
If Paul Bacon starts like a Bacon Town, I'll run for mayor of Bacon Town. That's a promise. Yeah, there's the weather's crazy. People are talking about the weather.
I saw some reports of snow in the Northeast
and in the Laurel Highlands.
In where?
The Laurel Highlands, which is like southwestern Pennsylvania, like right below Pittsburgh, is the Laurel Highlands.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 22 degrees with chances of snow.
It is officially the apocalypse, folks.
Now tonight it's supposed to rain for that drive-in.
For the
movie.
drive-in.
And then tomorrow's supposed to be 40-mile-per-hour winds.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell everybody.
They got the big blow-up screen, right?
Yeah, we were going to.
I'm sure they can secure it.
I don't know. Amy and I and Kev were going to broadcast from the drive-in movie theater tomorrow, but we got to cancel. 40-mile-per-hour winds. Our show can't be outside in 40 miles per hour.
Kev will be like
blowing away,
battening down all of the stuff.
So it kind of stinks because we had that all planned out with Shell and Chuck Galati, and after the show, I'm going to have to call and cancel, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but don't forget tonight at 5. Tonight at 5 is the Happy Hour show.
Happy hour.
Happy Hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are not in the yellow yet.
Nope.
Montgomery County's not in the yellow and might not be moved into yellow until June.
Yep.
You can write Rufus Jefferson in on any ballot that you want, although you will be wasting your vote on that one.
Yeah, we did have a third-party voting, third-party system conversation pre-show.
And Rufus Jefferson...
Unfortunately, the third party is not...
it's not viable.
It's not viable at this point in time.
Our laws are not just... Our Constitution's not built to set up for it. So here's the other thing. Rufus Jefferson was actually a real politician somewhere down in Virginia. I did find that out. I sent you and Amy the list. Yeah, Robert Flam sent us the list last night.
Yeah.
And there was also an article, like I'm saying, on PA Live. After the show, when I'm doing this other posting, I'll put that over to the COVID resources page, and you can get a look at it there. Yeah, they're testing for active infections, not antibodies. Past infection. And Debbie, I guess Debbie wants to work on this antibodies, right? The antibody testing. Mm-hmm. I think that's what Debbie's trying to do. Yeah, Mayor. There's some stuff that I would say and do that some people probably might not like if I run for mayor. And I've got some people that aren't on my side with stuff and are going to raise a lot of problems for me if I run for mayor. I got some skeletons.
If you ran for public office, you just have to put those right out there.
No, I would, because at this
Yeah,
stage
yeah,
in the
like,
game, what do you have to lose?
Right.
What do you
When
have to
Levi and I
lose?
got married, he told me, okay, in no uncertain terms, if I ever get it in my head to run for public office, you need to stop me. I was like, all right. Duly noted.
Duly noted.
Yes.
I do want to talk a little bit about the cluster. Like we said before, they surpassed their initial fundraising levels that they were looking
Not
for.
that they would turn down additional funds.
Well, we're still going to need additional
Sure.
funds. And they set a mark that they thought was aggressive, but it was met.
That's great.
But the cluster is always going to need funding and support,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
Especially now, because we don't know what the full impact economically that Corona-19 is going
Right,
to
as
have.
this
We're
all
still,
ripples out and people continue to be out of work. And
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I do want to say that. I know that the Porchcast folks, Porchcast listeners and members of I'm going to call them members of Porchcast, were instrumental in helping raise some of those funds, and also volunteering to donate supplies to the cluster and everything else. So I want to thank everybody's support for the cluster. And just keep in mind that is going to be a continued effort, just as it has been over the past 50 years here in the borough of Pottstown.
Yeah.
So remember, folks, support the cluster. That is Pottstown's food bank.
right. Katie sent me an article last night. I didn't get a chance to fully digest it, about the extension of the SNAP program. Wolf administration received approval from the Food and Nutrition Service of the USDA to provide supplemental nutrition assistance program, which is SNAP, benefits to students who are eligible to receive free or reduced price meals at school. So if you are a student in Pennsylvania that's eligible for free or reduced lunch program, there will be additional SNAP benefits known as the Pandemic Electronic Benefit Transfer, or PEBT, designed to bridge the gap by schools closing and help families who may have strained resources. So that just came out. That information just came out yesterday, and I'm sure will be of a benefit to a lot of folks in Pottstown, because a lot of our kids, 76% of them, are eligible for free and reduced lunch. So,
Right.
like I said, I didn't have time to really digest all of the information, but that will be an additional resource that will be available through the state.
I was just going to say, I did see that come out, and some folks sent that to me in order to talk about, but I haven't had a chance to digest it. We had a busy day yesterday with some of the stuff that was going on for developing Porchcast, and it took away time. It took away research time. And then I did actually have some real estate work that I had to do yesterday, too.
Right.
I do want to say this as well. You're going to see down at the bottom of the screen, it says your sponsorship here. If you're interested in becoming a show sponsor, that's where the information for your business or organization is going to go.
Yeah, you get our big mouths blathering on about it.
And we'll talk about it, and you'll get links to your websites or your Facebook page or your Square site, whatever you have. And then I also create an individual post that goes on the Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate page. We are looking for sponsors at this time. We need sponsors to help run the show, and it also does compensate us a little bit for the time and effort that we do put into the show.
Yeah, and our equipment mostly.
And our equipment and everything else. We just bought a new computer, which was roughly $1,300. So if you are interested in sponsoring the show, and if you are a business or individual, I am not accepting money from nonprofit organizations.
I'm using my
Oh, yeah,
I'm using my lip balm. And Harrison had a blister, so he used the boo-boo stick. He's not up yet, so I haven't had a chance to get the report from him on how that worked. But he's been, he had a blister from his Keds or his Vans or whatever he's wearing.
So anyway, that's the sponsorship. Your sponsor will go in there, and we'll do all that other stuff for you. You can reach out to any one of us on the show to set up information. We'll work something out for you. And I think we're going to have a pretty interesting sponsor for the 5 o'clock show this afternoon. So tune back in at 5 to find out what's going on Porchcast
Yes.
Happy Hour.
Yes.
Yeah, and if Robert Flynn wants to see what Kevin is wearing, he'll have to tune in for the 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Yes,
Kevin
we're
is
gonna-
not funky or fancy just yet.
Not yet. And we are going to put Kevin on for a few seconds so that everybody can get a good look at Kevin. What are the costs for sponsorship? We will work something out with you, Paul. So I don't really have a pricing set yet.
Yeah, we don't have it. We're not
And
that
I really don't want to get to that until we come a little bit further out of the COVID-19 thing, because I don't want to seem like I'm capitalizing on that.
Yeah.
So for now,
So we're
really
happy with barters and
yes.
product promotions
Yep.
and things like that.
And then as we move down the line, we can talk about more stuff. So that's where we're at. I did have another real estate related item,
Okay.
and this information was brought to me.
We need to get you a little table to put your notebook on.
I know. This information was brought to me by Paula Bickelman from Fine Solutions Properties, which is really the main rehabbing company that I work with here in the borough of Pottstown. I do work with 2 other organizations that do rehab, but I really have done the most transactions with Paula and Rob from Fine Solutions Properties. So you can imagine that we spent a lot of time dealing with Pottstown licensing and inspection.
Sure.
And the majority of the homes that I sell are, no, I wouldn't say the majority, a good amount of homes that I sell are within the borough of Pottstown. So I deal with licensing and inspection sometimes some weeks on a daily basis.
Yep.
So there's some changes to what's going on related to licensing and inspection to this COVID. I was told that there's a list, and people that were signed up or had paid for inspections are going to be kind of put on a first come first served list. You will be contacted by the licensing and inspection department, and then at that point you will get an appointment. You have to wear masks, gloves in order to meet the inspector. If you're not complying with those regulations, they're going to pass on doing the inspection.
Right, and
you'll
you'll have
be
to pay
billed
for the- yeah.
$100 for the misinspection.
So also, do you, if there's more than like 2 people in your home, do you have to limit the number of people that are in your home when they come to do
this brings me to my next point. I
Okay.
don't know. You know why I don't know?
Because there's not a
that
list.
information's not out.
Yeah.
I got it word of mouth. So I did talk to Trinita Lindsay, and I did make a suggestion. The licensing and inspection department really needs to come out with a memo or a press release. So with clear, easy to understand how this is going to work. Because we can't just keep having this spread through word of mouth. Whisper down the lane does not work with licensing and inspection.
Right.
It doesn't.
Right.
And the other part of it too is, and then I was told, well, you can call into the desk and get the information. That doesn't work either. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. You get one thing from one person, you get another thing from another person. The people sitting at the desk, they don't understand what the regulations
That happens a lot
are.
too. With the county prothonotary department, we'll call to get what the filing fee is for a certain action
Yeah.
from the prothonotary. We send it in and they send it back. No, it's an additional $5. Well,
Yeah.
they don't
Just let us know.
Yeah.
So
back and forth.
I don't think I'm asking for anything all that outrageous.
Well, and I know that the borough had been working on streamlining that some of those codes and L&I processes over the last year.
Yeah,
to-
guess who poked them enough to finally get them to do that?
Would that be Matt Green?
That would be
Black Real Estate?
back Green at Clocker Real Estate.
Yeah.
But here's
But that was one of the things that came out of the ULI study
yes,
also.
yes. It
Yes.
absolutely is one of the things that came out of the ULI study. So here's my suggestion, and I know that there's borough council people that are watching. If you're watching, I already talked to Trinita. I know Mike Paulus watches. I know
And
Lisa
Lisa.
Vanny watches. You gotta get either your solicitor or you got to get the head of licensing and inspection to write a memo about these new procedures and make it public.
Right. Bullet points, easy to digest.
Easy to digest. And then that way, realtors like me who do business in town, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to advise my clients.
Right.
Here's the other part of it too. Just because I know to call L&I, and I know that there's rules and regulations of involving inspections for transfers and construction and everything else. We have a lot of real estate agents and a lot of people that are coming to Pottstown from outside the area. They don't know this stuff.
Right.
They don't know. And if we're not telling them, if we're not creating a place for them to get the information where they can read and understand it, you're setting yourself up for a disaster. Right. I'm telling you right now, you got to put it in writing.
Well, hopefully they will get that up and running. I know all of this stuff is new. People are working on, skeleton crews but getting back to business and making things happen. Get that information up there.
Yeah, I mean, and if you need help, just like when we rewrote the procedures for these transfer inspections, I offered help, and I stood by my word. I went up there. I had a meeting with Justin. I had a meeting with Keith Place. Brooke Winters was in that meeting, and we sat there and we worked on the language, and we hashed it out until we could get it into a digestible fashion. There's people that are willing to help you, Borough of Pottstown, because at the end of the day, it helps me. It helps me do my job more efficiently. It helps me affect my clients.
Bring responsible investors to town.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which is what we want.
Which is what we want.
Yes. So Joe is sharing some good news from the foundation.
Okay.
They accepted 16 new students for the early college program at Montco. Great.
That is
another 16 students that will be going into their junior or senior year doing dual enrollment with the college. That's great.
And it looks like Andrew Green will be giving his perspective as a student enrolled in the program. That is one of the best.
Great.
Rachel McKay, if you haven't heard anything about Pottstown that wants to make you invest here, then you haven't been listening to the show.
What?
We're
like the biggest cheerleaders ever. Yeah.
That's out of left field. Anyway, the Green family will be so that program is one of the best things going. And Pottstown School District is the only school district in this area that has that program where those kids, as long as they maintain a B or better average, get free college tuition.
Right.
Guess Owen J. Roberts doesn't have that program. Springford doesn't have that program. Boyertown doesn't have that program. You know who does? Pottstown does.
Yes.
Pottstown does.
Harrison's giving me a look.
Steel River is hosting Broadway star Anika Larson for a Q&A Monday evening.
Cool.
Info on their Facebook page. Write that down for me, and I'll add that to the list of stuff that I'll post up too.
Sure.
And you guys got to keep this information flowing. Everybody also, keep in mind, you can contact me or Amy or Kev now. Kev's information is available through the show. Contact us. Facebook. You can call us. You can text us. You can email us. Email us the information that you want to share from your organization, especially if you're a nonprofit organization. Let us know what your events are. Let us know what your happenings are. Let us know what your fundraising. We have been able to raise hundreds of dollars for some of these organizations through Porchcast. So contact us. Let us know. You're not bothering me if you send me a text message saying, hey, next Tuesday we're having a fundraiser at the blah, 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 blah. Let me know. Let one of us know.
Robert, if you are saying that the Hill School does dual enrollment, they do not. They do not have dual enrollment with a college. Nope.
The government here in Pottstown is better than it ever has been.
Yes.
And I will say that folks like Trinita Lindsay, who are out in the community, getting involved, doing those things, are making it much better. I would also give a lot of credit to Justin Keller, the borough manager. I have multiple times. At this point, I've lost track of the amount of times I've gone to Justin with something and been able to get it addressed in a reasonable and thoughtful manner.
Yes, and we, for Pottstown Go Forth Festival, new date, Sunday, September 6th, work with the borough, with Parks and Rec, with the police department, with the fire department. They've all been just great, super to work with, just reasonable, easy to sit down with, easy to work with, really a pleasure.
Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's not problems.
Oh, of course not.
Of course there are.
Yeah.
there's problems in every community.
Sure.
Listen, a lot of investors want to be in Phoenixville. I had to deal with their licensing and inspection department on
How
a
was
couple.
that?
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
The inspector that came out to me said, "Well, I don't use email because I really don't like computers, so I don't use email."
Great.
That's Phoenixville. That's where everybody
Great.
wants
I
to
will
be.
I will send you my application by the Pony Express.
Birdsboro? What a nightmare. The lady forgot to send the inspector out to the house.
Oh.
So my seller's
So you're standing there.
My seller's sitting there in her living room with a little newborn baby waiting for this inspector who never comes.
Right.
Cleared out her whole morning. I call back to Borough Hall. Oh, yeah, we forgot. I wrote it down on a piece of paper and I forgot to send the inspector out.
Fantastic.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I have always found folks at Borough Hall to be very responsive. Justin's assistant, Ginny, she's the best.
Upper Pottsgrove. Yeah, Upper Pottsgrove, you might, inspection's great and my utility bills cut a third in Upper Pottsgrove, but Upper Pottsgrove doesn't barely have paved roads and they don't have a sewer system.
Yeah.
And you can't, when you resell your house in Upper Pottsgrove and there's
I
no
think
public sewer system?
She's saying that her utility bill is a third of what it was when she lived in Upper Pottsgrove.
Oh, okay.
Nancy now lives
I
here
got
in the
you.
borough.
I was going to say, because
So, big thumbs up.
Upper
Yes.
Pottsgrove's got some problems
Good
too,
morning,
man.
Matt Moyer. Good morning, Keith. Got some folks tuning in.
Keith Costello from JJ Radigan's. They're going to be our 5 o'clock show sponsor for happy hour. We got a couple of neat things coming down with them.
Yeah. Matt, it's 20 of and you haven't even done your history lesson.
All right, so here's my history lesson. Let's do that. Well, we got sidetracked, and I got onto that thing with L&I.
Yeah.
Listen, I talk a lot about it because it really does. I cannot tell you how much that impacts my job selling real estate here in the borough of Pottstown.
Just have a one-sheeter up there with
just get it done.
bullet point information.
Just get it done. I spend hours dealing with licensing and inspection issues here in the borough of Pottstown. I'm not complaining about it. It's my job. I like doing my job. But it's important. And the borough's got to do their part. The borough has to do their part so I can do mine. All right. I'll get off my soapbox.
All right.
All right. So I put a sport coat on today. I put a tie. I've got my pocket square. So we're going to go through, and people are talking about the camo hat and everything else. My pocket square is camo. I also got my fishing.
I love that little fish.
I got my fishing pin. I think my mom probably.
It's
Judy,
really-
the executive producer, got that for me.
Dig it.
So here's a little history lesson on the sport coat. And so the sport coat originates or evolves from shooting sports.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
It was it was most likely evolved from a jacket called the Norfolk jacket, and is believed to be the forerunner of all sports jackets.
The grandpappy of
The
all
grandpappy of them all. And it's attributed to the Duke of Norfolk in the late 1800s.
Okay.
All right. So the original Norfolk jacket was a tweed jacket with pockets. It had a belted waist. It had pleated or gusseted sleeves or a back for ease of movement.
Yeah, I know. I can picture.
And a lot of them had big, I've seen some of these things.
pockets.
They still make them. They had
Yeah.
big pockets on
back.
the inside.
Yep.
Right. Those pockets were for putting your game, or also you could put your shotgun shells or your shooting accoutrement. Accoutrement.
It was a fanny pack.
Did you? Yeah, it was.
I did accoutrement. I got
Do you
it.
like accoutrement? All right. Kevin Krause. I said accoutrement.
Accoutrement.
Accoutrement. So anyway, that was the Norfolk jacket. It was typically worn with trousers. Now, there's a difference between, you might know this from your studies, there's a difference between trousers and pants. Trousers
sure
were
you
more
do.
related to work.
Yes.
Pants were more for dress, right? So you would wear your sport coat with your trousers.
Right.
I have my modern day trousers on now. And then you would go out to the field and do your hunting and shooting sports. Okay, so by the 1920s, the jacket evolves more towards a riding jacket. So the riding jacket was shorter.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody's seen pictures of men and women out on the fox hunt.
Yes, if you watch Downton Abbey, there was a lot of really great costumes in that show.
Okay.
From that time period, the teens and 20s.
Okay, I don't watch TV, so
Right.
I'm out on that one. So anyway, the sport coat gets cut down, and it loses the belt.
And
it
loses
the gut
gussets
and all
and
that
the big
stuff,
pockets.
and it becomes more
looking
like
that.
what we're looking at now.
Yeah.
And initially, the sport jacket, the original sport coat, was a garment of privilege because only a man who already had a suit. Because you got to think back, people didn't have a lot of money for clothes.
Right.
They didn't have a lot of clothes.
Right. So if you had a suit and you also had a sporting coat, then you had
a little
privilege
bit-
because you had multiple outfits.
You had a little bit extra money in your pocket, so you
Right.
could go and spend it.
Yep.
So that is the history of the sport coat, and I wore that. Now,
Which is why it makes sense that you are wearing your sporting coat
all you
with your
yes, all you smarty pants making fun of my camo hat. Guess what? The camo hat, if you read history, does go with the sporting coat.
yes.
Got you again, Kevin Krause. I'll beat you in the pool and in history.
But watch out for Mr. Green jumping in that pool. Where was that? Was that it? Where did you guys swim?
I
that
swam.
happened?
I swam for Gruber and for Hillside. I believe that was the year that I went up to Hillside because, see, Gruber was the community pool, and it was at one point in time it was sponsored by Parks and Recreation Department, which was half the borough of Pottstown and half the school district. They teamed up to run
Interesting.
Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And the one year, something happened. There wasn't enough money, and they thought that they weren't going to have a swim team at Gruber. So I left Gruber for a couple of years because swimming was my primary sport.
Right.
So I left Gruber for a couple of years to go up to Hillside. I believe Hillside Pool in Upper Pottsgrove. I believe that he fell in the pool up at Hillside. And I think that I can't remember where Kevin Krause is going to have to remind. I think that Kevin Krause swam at Sunnybrook.
Okay. My father-in-law taught at Sunnybrook for a long time, swimming. We had that conversation yesterday about your experience at Sunnybrook.
Yeah, I used to teach swimming lessons, and I helped coach the swim team. And at one point in time, I was state ranked in Pennsylvania for breaststroke, freestyle, and some relays. And then I went to college for swimming. I was regionally ranked in swimming.
Your mom said that happened at Hillside.
Yeah, it did happen at Hillside, but what I don't remember is which team we were competing with. Were we Gruber Gators, or were we Hillside, whatever they were? I think they were like the Dolphins or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that Kevin Krause swam at Sunnybrook.
Keith Costello was chiming in to say that they've been investing in Pottstown since 2011, and it was not a pleasant experience when they started, but over the last few years, it's been a night and day difference. So that's nice to hear that they have seen the process get streamlined and the folks at the borough be a little easier to work with. So great.
And again, this show does live on Matt Greenick Locker Real Estate, and it is my job, and I'm just going to say it again. It's one of the reasons why you need to use a local real estate agent. Sure, somebody from Collegeville or Cheltenham can sell your house, but they don't know Pottstown.
Right.
They don't know all the ins and outs.
Yes.
So use a local realtor. And I'm not even saying me. If you might not like me as your realtor. You might not like somebody who talks like me as your realtor. But use somebody local.
Use somebody local and I would argue, it's been a little while since we've mentioned Wolf Baldwin and Associates on the show. I would argue the same thing about
attorney.
That you can go to one of the big Philadelphia firms, but you can get expertise that is just as good, if not better, right here in Pottstown from somebody that's been in Pottstown and invested in Pottstown for 50 years. And
as we learned, is one of the few, 100 attorneys in the entire state who's got this specialty
certification in workers' comp specialist. Yep.
Or you could call up William Paul Barogli for your general practice needs.
Yes.
So now we've done all that.
Yeah.
We've done everything that we promised that we were going to do. The show wasn't very heavy.
No.
We had some good conversation. People are jumping in.
People like my wig.
Robert Flam's
I think
claiming.
by the end of this, my actual real hair is going to be about this long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Flam's claiming that he can beat me in swimming.
Oh boy.
I'm hearing a little bit of smack talk there.
Listen,
Yeah.
man, you better. I haven't been in a pool for years, but I guarantee that I could still beat some people in swimming. You might have bit off more than you can chew, buddy. But you might want to double check that before you throw a gauntlet down.
Before you throw it down.
Some kind of competition here.
Well, there was some talk earlier about a competition between me and Kevin Krause, an old fat guy competition. Kev looks like he might be in a little bit better shape than I am. What is the best thing about investing in Pottstown? The fact that you're buying in a town that's up and coming right now. Also, you get more bang for your buck. Go look at what a price of a house is in Pottstown compared to Phoenixville.
Yes.
And then tell me where you want to try to invest money.
Yeah, and also the house, like this house is 110 years old. It's built in around 1907.
Yeah.
And it is solid, right? So you can buy a house like this for, if it's in need of improvement, you buy a house like this for 120, maybe 140. Even if you put 200 in it.
Right. Right.
You're still at 350. You're not buying a big development house in Collegeville or Rofo or any place like that for 350. Or if you are, it's not nearly as solid as this.
That's true.
Yeah.
A lot of
Got really, really good bones. And listen, I know it's not for everybody to live in town, to live close to your neighbors. But it is, it's for me. I like living close by to people. I like being able to, if I'm in the middle of a recipe and I run out of something, I'll be like, oh, Matt, do you have a can of beer? Hey, Kev, do you have any eggs? Amy, I'm always running across to Amy's house to get, baking soda or whatever. I like that. You can count when I had the flu. We had the flu in February.
Yeah.
Deb Penrod was bringing us newspapers, and Amy was bringing us food. Susie Kennedy brought us soup.
Matt Green brings you fresh fish.
Yes, exactly. Fresh fish delivery at 9:00 at night. I like that. A lot of people like living out in the country, far away from people. I like living around people and my friends and people that I can count on.
Yeah, Listen, if you don't mind living in a more urban environment, it's a good place to be.
And it's a great place to raise your kids, I think.
I haven't had any problems. And you and I talked about this before. We talked about it on your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted my kids to have the similar experience that I did when I was growing up.
Right.
Was it always easy? No. I had my problems, man. I remember there was a couple of guys in the neighborhood that used to bully me and some of my buddies, and we go round and round and round. Yeah, I got punched in the nose when I was a kid.
Right.
You know what? I also punched some other people in the nose when I was a kid.
Right.
So... But I wanted my kids to kind of have that real look at what life is like. I didn't want them to grow up on some privileged cul-de-sac where they weren't exposed to what real life is.
Right.
And you can get that here in Pottstown.
I told the story yesterday about Harrison not understanding what segregation was. He was like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
Now, full disclosure, Harrison went to private school for high school, but he started at Barth at 4K.
Right.
And went through the middle school. And if he said, you know what, I don't want to go to Hill, I want to go to Pottstown High, I would have been like, yeah, great. Yeah, I'm totally good with that.
And we have the same, we literally have the almost exact same story in the fact that Andrew, who had the opportunity to go to the Hill School, was given all kinds of chances to go to the Hill School, decided he was going to stay at Pottstown.
Yeah.
And now look, the kid's graduating, he's getting scholarships.
With a lot of options.
A lot of options.
Yeah.
So it is what you make out of it.
When you look at a quote good school district, what makes a good school district? Oh, test scores or how many kids matriculate out to college. That's not the measure, for me anyway. I don't think that should be the measure of what makes a good school district. I think that Pottstown School District, the administration, the teachers are all exceptional. And when we walked into Barth, when Harrison was 4 years old, we walked in there and I could feel
the love.
I could feel like it felt safe. It felt like it was a safe place, and every teacher, by first grade, every teacher knew every kid's name. They all know the kids and they look out for them. And it just was really a really, really special place.
Yeah.
I always felt. And Barth is over there in Bright Hope. And some people would say, oh, I don't want my kid to go to school over there. Over there by Bright Hope.
Well, that's what they're saying
you're
there.
Lost.
That's You're
lost.
I wanted the diversity. I wanted to be able to at the time when I bought this house, I was a patrolman. I was a park ranger, but the major part of my day was spent patrolling all parts of Chester County. Mm-hmm. The last thing I wanted to do on my days off was come home and have to get in my car and drive more.
Right.
So we lived up in I didn't want to do it. I would literally spend 8 to 12 hours a day in my patrol vehicle driving from one end of Chester County to the other.
Yeah, you don't want to.
I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, Susie Kennedy says they love the walkability of Pottstown.
Yep.
Love it.
I loved it. I could park my truck on my days off and not have to get back into it until I had to go back to work.
Yep.
We moved up into the North End. I could walk to Redner's. I could walk to the barbershop. I could walk to the pizza shop.
Yep.
The pizza shop sold beer. I could get my beers.
Yeah.
I was good to go.
Yeah.
So,
Love that part of it.
Here
Definitely.
160 North Hanover, I can walk down to Blue Elephant. I can walk to JJ's. Just all the best restaurants.
Ride your bike onto the trail, right?
Yeah. I just ride my bike right down to the river trail.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So now you're overwhelmed with all these reasons why people.
Yes.
And we're probably starting to cut into some of the stuff that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
On the 5 o'clock show.
Pam says
I saw.
Pam says she could drive a car into her house. Yeah.
Well, her building there at the corner of Charlotte and Queen, I'm sure gets whacked a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah. So Andrew brings up a good point. The fair funding. Yeah, so the Pottstown schools are just woefully underfunded. That is a whole week's worth of shows to talk about how the fair funding formula is not employed across the state and how Pottstown just gets absolutely screwed by that fair funding formula or lack of fair funding.
They're only
formula.
Executing what, like less than
It's like 10% of that. Yeah.
Of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, that is, and that does impact the taxes on the property. So yeah, we're not going to be all Pollyanna and say everything is perfect. Yes, that does deter some folks for sure. The tax rate.
Sure, but at one point in time, there was a real estate agent at Glocker. He's since retired to help his kids start their own businesses. Jerry Delana. Okay. And Jerry kind of did an analysis of the taxes in this area. And really, when you put it onto a spreadsheet and you take into consideration certain factors, the size of the property, how big the house is, how big the land is around it, the tax burden is relatively similar across this area of Western Montgomery County.
Okay.
So people are paying roughly the same amount of taxes across the board. The other thing you have to think about too is, yes, your taxes might be a little bit lower if you live in East Vincent Township, but are the roads paved in East Vincent Township? Right. Do you have public sewer in East Vincent Township? If you call the police, how long does the police take you to get there? If you need an ambulance, will the police and ambulance be at your door in 3 minutes and 15 seconds?
I have had to call the ambulance many times for myself, or Levi's had to call for me. And the ambulance is practically here before he hangs up the phone.
Our average response time in the borough of Pottstown when I was a police officer was 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
That's pretty fast.
3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah.
What are most places like 15 minutes?
Could be. You live out in the middle of nowhere. In some places the ambulance ain't coming.
Yeah, well, in some places they don't have a police force. They depend on the state police.
And depending on how many cars they have out at night, state police goes to a 2-man car.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, some non-emergency response, the state police will be out the next day to take your report.
Right.
They're not coming out at night for your stolen bike report. We'll see you tomorrow. Or come down to the barracks and you can file a report with the dispatcher.
Right.
All that takes money, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like those kind of services, there's a cost for that.
Right.
The other part
Is
of it
that
too
socialism, Matt?
we'll
We'll save that for another day.
Yeah, so I was. Andrew Monastra sent me an interesting thing that made me think about one of my history and civics lessons needs to be breaking down what the difference between communism and socialism is. So I am going to spend some time on that, Andrew. Thanks for jogging my memory, but not today. Buy some bacon to support the schools. SOB Bacon's throwing that up. Laura Mabry, who used to live in Pottstown. Laura helped me a lot when I first got into real estate. Unfortunately, she had to move away. What is the time on the Swatch watch?
12 right on the dot. Sorry.
It felt like that.
You could just feel it in your
I could
bones that
feel
it was
it.
noon.
So this has been Fancy Funky
Fancy Funky.
Friday. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, tonight. 5 o'clock tonight. Everybody, please tune in for the 5 o'clock happy hour show. We can continue our conversation about what we love in Pottstown. We are ready to talk about anything you want to.
Anything. Light and fancy free.
JJ Radigan's is going to be sponsoring the show at 5 o'clock.
Looking forward to that.
They have some surprises in store for us. We don't know what those surprises are. You'll have to tune in to find out.
Kevin's going to be fancy or funky or both.
I may be some combination of the two.
Okay, dig it.
Kevin's going to get a little extra camera time. I'm going to trade
Yes.
places with him for a little bit.
Oh, are you going to be operating the
I'm
goods?
going to step out.
You're going to set it on autopilot, right?
So all three of us could be on there for the whole time. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
We'll work on
Just
something.
get it on autopilot so we can't screw it up.
And as always, your compliments, your compliments. We'll always
take
take.
them.
We'll always take this. Your comments, your likes, your shares,
conversation.
your conversation is greatly appreciated, especially at 5 o'clock. And remember, share the show. Share the show to your news feed. Ray Amori set up a watch party for us the one
nice,
day on
fun.
his web. Do that kind of stuff. We need people to do that so that more people watch the show. The more people that watch the show, the greater our reach. The more people we reach, the better we feel about the time and effort we put into
And
the
the
show.
better we can help people.
The better we can help
Yeah.
people. That's right. So, the 11 o'clock show is now over. Please stand by till 5.
See you at
Amy
5.
Wolf, moving forward with Amy Wolf. Matt Green, Ecklocker Real Estate. Kevin Smith in the technical department. We are Porchcast. Let's talk soon.